What Ridley Scott started in his 1979 film Alien has now become a franchise that's 4.5 decades old, with a bunch of franchise-exclusive movies, a few crossovers, several games, and innumerable comics. Mr. Scott's work was followed up by James Cameron, who built upon the empire that Scott had left him, and Cameron delivered another masterpiece, like he almost always does. The return of Ripley and her no-nonsense character is included in almost every list that speaks about the greatest protagonists of all time. After nearly 8 years, in 1992, David Fincher worked on Alien 3, but recused himself post-production because of a little something called studio involvement. Alien 3 was then re-edited by Charles de Lauzirika, but he could not match the brilliance of Mr. Fincher, a guy who had worked on stuff like Seven, Fight Club, Gone Girl, Zodiac, and more. The fourth Alien movie from the 90s was Alien Resurrection, directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who also worked on Amelie. Well, I don't even want to talk about it. But the second decade of the new millennium brought a degree of change to the whole narrative. Ridley Scott painted the franchise with his philosophical vision, quitting the horror roots to an extent, and his movies remained largely sci-fi in approach. Prometheus and Covenant divided audiences and critics alike, and accused Mr. Scott of diverting from the essence of his original movie, but some appreciated the universe building and expanded lore. I mean, for how long would the same formula be repeated? It's not the Friday the 13th franchise, for crying out loud. Nevertheless, when Ridley Scott was still working on his prequel films, he was heard saying time and again that he had plans for 4 or 5 Alien films, much along the lines of James Cameron's Avatar. These movies would have seen the final result of what David, the evil synthetic, started. However, Alien Awakening, the third film of the franchise, never came into existence. But I am now hopeful. Why? Of course, it has to be the success of Alien Romulus. So what's the update on a sequel to Scott's prequels, and will it ever finish? If so, which direction would it take? Before I continue, please consider tapping those like and subscribe buttons. It may be just 2 small clicks for you, but for us it means a lot. Alien Romulus gives hope because it ensures Scott's original and prequels are super relevant still. While many characters in Prometheus Covenant didn't quite succeed, I mean, why would Milburn, played by Rafe Spall, try to befriend an alien snake that was visibly dangerous and intimidating? That's sheer dumb, and not on the actor's part. Having said that, Michael Fassbender's portrayal of David stands out as one of the franchise's best. None of us would mind seeing more of him, honestly. He can become someone on the lines of a villain everyone loves to hate, say Voldemort or Hans Gruber. Along with Peter Weyland and the intriguing backstory of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, the 2 movies looked great. Although Alien Romulus makes the prequel lore its focus, yes, but only in parts. In reality, it cleverly weaves in elements from those films, most notably the infamous black goo pathogen from Prometheus, and binds it with the original movie. Now, we've done plenty of videos around the black goo pathogen, including a video each on how Z01 works and the offspring's anatomy. You may want to check those out. Coming back, this same uber-powerful mutagenic pathogen plays a crucial role on the Renaissance ship and leads to the entry of the final monster, a hybrid monstrosity that felt as original as it was rooted in the previous films. The fact that it was a human, xenomorph, and engineer at the same time is just the way to go. I don't think anyone's complaining about it. Anyway, Peter Weyland's ultimate goal in Prometheus was to use the technology and secrets that the engineers had so that he could extend his own life. After his death, David picked up where Weyland left off in Covenant. He began conducting these really messed up experiments with the black goo, and didn't spare even his colleagues and so-called friends. In Fede Alvarez's latest Alien release, the scientists aboard the Renaissance ship managed to harness this mysterious substance, believing it could be the cure-all elixir they have been searching for all their lives. I mean, that's what Rook said to Kay, but he might be lying to her about its magical properties. In a shocking turn of events, Kay uses the goo in the film's climax only to unleash this increasingly dangerous and deadly new hybrid, a fusion of xenomorph, engineer, and human DNA. But you know what? Weyland-Yutani desperately wanted the Z01 compound, which, by the way, was extracted from the black goo found in the first film's xenomorph drone. Why? Well, they wanted to use it to empower humans with better physical abilities abilities so that they would be able to sustain the harsh conditions of outer space without perishing. But I'm digressing from the subject. The point I'm trying to make is that this abomination is as horrifying as it is fascinating, and pushes the boundaries of what we thought was possible in the Alien universe. This unexpected twist not only ties back to the prequel films, but also adds a fresh, terrifying layer to the franchise's lore, and it proves that the legacy of David, Wayland, and the Black Goo is far from over. Now, that seems like a fair enough reason to start thinking about another film to continue David's ideas and to see where his machinations lead. Currently, he has the ability to destroy thousands of people to create an equal number of xenomorphs, but will he? Additionally, the movie is making money. I mean, Alien Romulus. So that is mostly the sole incentive why people make movies, and Mr. Scott should consider it. What would the David sequel be about? Could it conclude with Romulus 2? While we don't know the full scope of Ridley Scott's plans for David in future installments of his prequel series, it's clear that the next chapter, rumored to be titled Alien Awakening, would have shifted focus from the xenomorphs to the evolution of synthetics. Back in 2017, around the time Alien Covenant hit theaters, Scott hinted that the alien creature's story might be nearing its end, and he was more interested in exploring the future of AI. Scott has long been fascinated with the human aspects of artificial intelligence. From the unsettling android Ash in the original Alien to the Blade Runner films and the thought-provoking series Raised by Wolves, Scott has consistently delved into the complex relationships between humans and their synthetic creations. It would have been intriguing to see where David's journey would have taken him after Covenant, especially since he's conspicuously absent from later films in the franchise. While Alien gave us Ash as a villain and Aliens introduced the more sympathetic Bishop, Scott clearly has more to say about the role of AI, both in our world and in the vast, cold expanse of space. Now, we know that David is still out there, floating in outer space with a whole colony worth of people. Who's to say that he will not survive or lead these men and women to their doom? Furthermore, Rain and Andy are headed to the planet of Ivaga, a completely terraformed planet that is more or less out of the purview of the company's nefarious eyes. So maybe, just maybe, David could infect these people under his charge with facehuggers, and he could bring the resultant xenomorphs to the planet of Ivaga, where he would have a final face-off with Rain and Andy. Throw into the mix a bit of Ellen Ripley, and you've got a movie for the ages. Of course, to bring Ellen back, you would have to ignore the third and fourth Alien movies, and let's be honest, that wouldn't hurt anyone. For now, it seems that Scott's Alien prequels are either on hold or possibly abandoned. The future of these stories might depend on the success of Alien Romulus and how audiences perceive it in the next few months. But if we're to believe the current charts, things look good for Alien Romulus. From YouTube comments to Reddit, people are mostly praising the movie and are praising it to bring back the same level of thrill and horror as the first two films, while paying due respect to the other films. Fede Alvarez really did a great job with reviving the franchise, much like he did with Evil Dead. I'll leave you with a curious question. Can humanity survive in a universe where both synthetics and alien life forms exist? If Scott ever returns to give us his answer, you can bet we'll be eagerly watching to see how it all unfolds. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.